magician.
Wow, I really didn't think I'd be making one of these videos again, but here we are. This has basically been another pretty shit year. Even though lots of good things did still happen, and I'm just happier in general ever since I've got together with Emma, it's not been a great year for several reasons. Well, for me anyway, like, I'm sure it's been crap for loads of other people as well. Now, there are a couple of things that have really got me down, but I'm not too sure I should bring them up. But I will go over the other things, don't know into how much detail. Oh, and I thought I'd do this while making a few decks on Edo Pro, just preparing for Series 8 of the Dark Magician's Deck Grand Championship. Now, I know I could just talk to people about these things, and yeah, I generally do try and put bad things in the past behind me, which is preferable, but sometimes the need to vent is just there, you know? I forgot what I was doing. Like, take Storm Unis, for instance. And that just ruined our original Valentine's Day plans, or me and Emma's original Valentine's Day plans. Like, the plan was to go down there on the Friday and stay for the whole weekend. Oh, excuse me. But thanks to Storm Unis, trains either weren't running at all or kept getting cancelled, and then it got to a point where it just wasn't possible to travel. I did go the following day though, so it didn't ruin everything completely. We were still able to celebrate Valentine's Day together, so that was okay. And then, of course, shitty people on YouTube were shitty towards me, or just really annoying. Like, for instance, I finally lost my patience with that guy who kept posting questions on my Q&A that I either specifically banned or just made me too awkward and uncomfortable. But that wasn't why I lost my patience with him. No. The reason why I lost my patience was because he started insane arguments with me. It was ridiculous. Like, first he tried to tell me that... This is ridiculous. He tried to tell me that kissing before marriage is a sin, even though it's really not. And he then said that a condom was needed for kissing and tickling, which it really isn't. Yeah, he's getting confused with sex. And when I tried to correct him, he just wouldn't listen and just insisted that he was right. And that's the main problem here. He just never listened. I mean, he did say that he does, but he really doesn't. Or didn't, I should say. And then it got to the point where I was like, why am I wasting my time having this insane argument? So yeah, I just finally lost my patience with him and blocked him. Although a couple of months ago I discovered he'd been leaving comments on other people's videos, and there was one which I just didn't appreciate. And he said, and I quote, "Haha, your channel is so much better than Dark Magician's. He blocks all the comments because he is extra sensitive, so most fans will end up here." Okay, that second part is not true or fair. Okay, I do not block everyone and their comments. I am not extra sensitive. This, literally, this guy's just being spiteful. If I block you, it's because you've been a dick to me, quite simply, or just a really insufferable human being who just keeps arguing with me and won't listen to reason and logic. That was the reason behind it. You know what? For the record, I don't care if other content creators have better channels than I do. I'm not trying to be better than everyone else. I'm not trying to make it so I have the best damn channel on YouTube. I didn't come here to be this big star or whatever. I'm just a guy making videos for the fun of it and sharing his love of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the world. If my subscriber count goes up, that is fantastic. I'm happy with the 257 subscribers I have, but even if it doesn't go up or it does go down, not a big deal. I'm just happy with the way things are. I mean, I'll probably never get a diamond play button or whatever, but doesn't matter. I'm okay with that. But even this was nothing compared to the abuse that I got regarding deck profiles over the fact that I hate Red Eye's Dark Dragoon and don't want to use him. Of course, this would count towards my Dark Magician deck profiles, of course, but a couple of other deck profiles I did got some hate as well, like my Magician of Chaos deck, where someone said, "Lol, this is bricky as fuck," or something along those lines. And even the Melfi deck I made in my deck building challenge series got some hate. Who the hell hates on Melfis of all things? Seriously. More specifically, one person said, "This deck is so bad, I want to bleach my eyes out." I mean, really? Comments like that are just completely uncalled for. Yeah, they didn't get as much hate as my Dark Magician deck, I get something like, even if you don't play Dragoon, this deck is shit. Like, even though there's no such thing as a shit deck. As I talked about in my top 5 generalised Yu-Gi-Oh! Pet Peeve rant video, people would give me shit for hating on Dragoon and not playing him, and even start stupid arguments with me about him. Like, it was just infuriating. I just don't know how anyone can defend that card and say things like, oh, he's not degenerate, he's easy to beat. Bullshit! He is degenerate and he's not easy to beat. The card negates everything, it has fuck all weaknesses, and there's not that many ways to counter him. I mean, I'm not saying there's no ways to counter him at all, but what I am saying is that just because there are outs to an annoying and degenerate card doesn't mean you're always going to draw into those outs, no matter how many you have, and it sure as hell doesn't justify that card's existence. Like, I don't care what anyone says about Dragoon, like, nothing can justify that card's existence, and he deserves to be banned more than anything else in the game, because he's just degenerate and toxic as fuck. Like, and I know he's not seeing that much play, but my counter-argument is branded decks still play him. Alright, maybe not all branded decks, but they can, simply by doing the whole combo of branded fusion, send Fallen of Albaz and Light Hex Sealed fusion, drop Albion, Albion's effect, banish Fallen and Light Hex, treating it as Dark Magician, boom, you have Dragoon. No, it's an annoyingly easy way to bring it out, like, without using Verte Anaconda. Again, I don't care what you say about Dragoon, nothing anyone does or says will change my mind about that card. I even said countless times that I hate Dragoon and don't want to play him, and said I don't want to hear any more about Dragoon, and yet this shit still happens, because people don't listen to me and don't respect my wishes and decisions regarding how I play my decks. This got so annoying that I even gave up doing deck profiles twice. And even though you guys convinced me to continue doing them, the second time this happened led me to almost quitting the game, or at least quitting current format Yu-Gi-Oh! Or at least that was one of the reasons why I considered quitting. That's how fed up I got over the whole thing. What was I going to say? But yeah, even though I've been convinced to keep doing them, this also led me to just just disabling the comments on my current format Dark Magician deck profile. I know it'll mean nobody can leave nice comments, but it's the only other way I can think of. So just stop people giving me shit over Dragoon. Um, there's only so much bullshit I can take. Seriously, that fucking card has just made my dueling life a misery. Not just because it's an auto-win button that just says you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh, but because, people keep arguing with me over him. And it's just getting out of hand, and yeah, like I said before, I hope more than ever that Dragoon gets fucking banned. Like, not only so that a degenerate and toxic card will be out of the game, but because these stupid, but just so these stupid arguments about Dragoon will finally end. Besides, if he can be banned in the OCG, he can be banned in the TCG as well. And last time I checked, he's not even in Master Duel, so yeah, that just goes to show how OP he is. It's just frustrating that people who defend Dragoon just can't and won't see the problem with him from other people's point of view. Anyway, the other reason why I almost quit the game was because people kept using decks against me that I hate and just don't want to play against. Despite me saying multiple times that I hate those decks and don't want to play against them. Sorry, still working on this deck. Again, it's just a case of people not respecting my wishes. Yeah, I was just getting that fed up of it. I keep losing my trail of thought. Yeah, because there's just too many decks in the game now that just do things that stop anyone from being able to play, regardless of whether it OTKs, FTKs, locks decks down in some way or another, or is quite simply a troll deck. But mainly OTK and lockdown decks, regardless of whether you consider it control or stun. Yeah, I just don't know how anyone can enjoy playing those kinds of decks and try and justify doing it. Sometimes they'll even say, oh, it's not as bad as this deck, or what is worse though, negates or floodgates? If you were to ask me that question, I would say they're as bad as each other, because they're equally as annoying. As, negates and floodgates basically do the same thing, stop anyone from being able to play. Other annoying ways people try and justify this is if they say, oh, but I'm a competitive player, I play to win. Okay, cool, but I don't play competitively, and some of us don't want anything to do with the competitive side. You know, why should I have to suffer? Or there'd be things like, I need to test this deck. Okay, but can't you test against someone else? You know, because some of us want to actually play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, it's just infuriating. Like, these sorts of decks just make the game stale. Like, is it any wonder people quit or don't want to play in tournaments? Yeah, I'll come back to that shortly. But yeah, even if my Dark Magician, you know, regardless of whether or not my Dark Magician deck plays Dragoon, it still gets hate, which just annoys me. As people are like, oh, I hate your Dark Magician deck. Oh, great, Dark Magician. Or, I can't do shit against that deck. Like, seriously, what is your beef with my Dark Magician deck? Seriously, like I, I, I don't play Dragoon or Ash Blossom or any floodgates like Secret Village or Magician's Right Hand or Guzzon Match. You know, my Dark Magician deck is actually fair and balanced, unlike Dragoon deck. I mean, if it's because of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, alright, fine, yes. The field of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, Dark Magical Circle, and Eternal Soul is annoying, okay? I get that, you know, I understand how annoying it is from your point of view. Like, really, I do. But it's not that hard to overcome. You know, you just destroy the Dragon Knight in battle, kaiju him, or and then when I try and bring it back from the graveyard with Eternal Soul, chain MST or Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone to get rid of it. Or if you really want to be that guy, just drop DD Grow or Call by the Grave. Problem solved. Like, again, it's not that hard. But even so, like, I don't even get that setup all the time, because, like I keep saying, I can't get Dark Magician the Dragon Knight out that consistently, no matter how many ways I have to do it. So, I don't even get that field all the time, and it's not the only thing I do. You know, there's plenty of other things I can do with my deck. You know, it's not a one strategy deck. And of course, the other way to do it is just drop Stellar Knight Traver or resolve the effect of Topologic Trisbana. Like, that's another way to get round it. You know, even Circle by itself is easy to get rid of, like with any form of back row removal. You know, there's much bigger threats in the game. Yeah, I just think the Dark Magician hate is just unfair and completely uncalled for. Like, I mean, regardless of how I play my deck, I'm not doing anything to stop you from being able to play. Just enough of the Dark Magician hate. Like, I'm getting sick and tired of it. Of course, it doesn't help that Dragoon is around and giving Dark Magician and Red Eyes a bad name. Anyway, other things people have done to annoy me on here are just accusing me of doing things that I didn't even do. Like, my nose is really itchy. Like, one guy calling me entitled and accusing me of telling people what to do with their cards when I did no such thing. Like, and this was all because I ranted about people putting cards in their trade binders that are not for trade, and complaining about people who have cards I wanting to sell rather than trade. Like, I mean, do you have any idea how infuriating this is? Like, some people just don't understand how annoying this is from my point of view. And I am not an entitled person. Like, I'm just a guy venting about something in the game that really bothers me. Like, that's all it was. And also, I know it might have seemed like I was being entitled and telling people what to do with their cards, but that really wasn't the case at all. And I also know that maybe I do come across as entitled whenever I rant and complain about a deck that I hate and say I don't want to play against it, but again, that's not being entitled, that's being fed up of decks that don't let me play the game. There's a big difference. Like, yeah, it's like I keep saying, when I play Yu-Gi-Oh, I want to actually play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, because as hard as this is for players to believe who play those sorts of decks, some of us don't want to get gamed turn one before we've had a chance to do anything, or have our decks locked down by a board of negates, floodgates and disruptions, so we can't do anything at all. Otherwise, it's not fair. Like, those sorts of decks are just ruining the game. Like, and as I said earlier, there's just too many of those decks around these days. Like, I even stopped playing in tournaments to specifically get away from those kinds of decks so that I don't have to deal with them anymore, and I sure as hell don't want to play against them in a casual game. Now, I know obviously I did make a return to tournaments recently, but I just want to say again that this is a temporary comeback. I'm not bothered about how well I do, I'm just trying to achieve a couple of things, like one being a secret and the other using a funny card against Shizu Tears. But I've already explained that in another video. Like, once these missions are done, then that's it, I'm done. I'm going back into tournament retirement, because the casual side is just so much better in so many ways. Yeah, anyway, I know this was a bit off topic, but I just thought I'd bring it up anyway, in case someone else brings it up. Another thing I've been accused of twice is deleting people's questions that were posted on my Q&A, even though, again, I did no such thing. That I know I went over this before, but that wasn't me. That was YouTube. The algorithm keeps deleting people's comments like after a few seconds for no reason. An annoying issue which YouTube still haven't bothered to fix. And I didn't even get notified of these questions. For some reason, sometimes YouTube doesn't always notify me whenever a comment has been posted. It's another glitch that they need to sort out. It's like, how can I delete someone's comment if I don't know that said comment has been posted? Even if I did delete these comments, there is no way in hell I would have been able to delete them that quickly. It's not possible. No human being can do it. So, I really don't appreciate being accused of doing something that I didn't even do. And one of the people who did this, didn't even believe me and said, and he said to me and people who defended me that he finds it hard to believe and that I should be honest with the fans. I have been honest with the fans. Why would I lie to you guys about anything? There's literally no point. That just made me angry. And it's not the first time that this person did something annoying. He kept posting links to his videos in the comments section of my videos, which is actually unethical, because it's basically a form of subscriber poaching. You're just drawing attention away from me and to you. And that's not right. I know content creators want their channels to get attention, but this isn't the way to do it. He also kept asking me and my girlfriend if we'd make an OnlyFans account, which just isn't appropriate. That's not our thing. And when I did that joke of the week video, where I made a joke about liquor by licking her face, he then said, "I thought you didn't do OnlyFans content." That makes no sense. How can it be OnlyFans content if it's posted on YouTube? I don't get that. And he also made an inappropriate video about people's girlfriends. He did delete it, of course, though, but, just accusing me of deleting comments and accusing me of lying was just the final straw, and I just lost my patience with this person and blocked him as well. I don't get it, guys. What is it about me or my videos, or both, that attract the attention of absolute arseholes, including judgmental ones, and just really insufferable people who just start arguments and won't listen? See, this is a reason why I have trust issues. In fact, this is exactly why I don't add people to Skype, from here, or my other social medias, in case they turn out to be a dick who just wants to antagonise me in some way. And it's happened before. But I'm not saying I don't trust everyone on YouTube. There are plenty of nice people on here who I'm either already friends with or I would love to be friends with. But sometimes you just don't know who you can really trust, and distrusting people just can't be helped sometimes. They can even be red flags, I guess. Yeah, that was annoying. And then, of course, there are people who just complain about things that I either can't do anything about or is for no reason, which is something that happens occasionally, like complaining about people being noisy, the angle. I mean, that hasn't happened for a while, but it was still annoying, and sometimes people will complain that the audio is too loud, and that, not too loud, too quiet, and they say they have their volume on maximum. Like, how is it quiet? Like, if it's too quiet, you just turn your volume up. I mean, I play it back, and the sound sounds perfectly fine to me. And whenever I edit videos, I make sure the audio is loud enough for you guys to hear. I know my recording equipment isn't the best, so if it's too quiet, it's clearly a problem on your end. I'm just sick of this. And then one person complained that the audio was too loud. But that's an even easier solution. Turn the volume down. Again, it's not difficult. Seriously, there's just no pleasing some people, or absolutely everyone. Some people are just never satisfied with the way I do things, and it's pissing me off. It just annoys me so much that my best isn't good enough for some people. I mean, I can only do the best I can with what I have. Anyway, after most of that shit, I got COVID, in the middle of June, which was annoying, and I feel like I might have mistaken COVID for hay fever. I'm not quite sure, because I read somewhere that COVID symptoms were being mistaken for hay fever symptoms, which is annoying, because I don't know if this is true, don't quote me on that, but if it is, then I may have made that mistake. It doesn't help that I've had hay fever 3 times before. And yeah, remember that Q&A where I said I was suffering from hay fever? Well, there's a chance it might have been COVID instead. Or maybe I had both. It just really sucked. Like, on the day I tested positive, I just woke up with a banging headache and was coughing later on in the day. So I did a test and it came up positive straight away. Yeah, that just put me in a bad mood, and then I started feeling sniffly. I got a fever. It was annoying that my body temperature kept fluctuating between hot and cold, and I had the most painful headache I've ever had in my life. Like, I'm not even joking. It was so painful that I was even crying. That's how bad it was. And and of course I had trouble sleeping, and I might have hallucinated when I was trying to sleep. I didn't lose my sense of taste and smell, thankfully, so I was lucky there. Now, I did recover a little bit as time went on, but I still had COVID by the time my birthday came around, which wasn't great. Oh, and my PC malfunctioned again on the day, and that was just insult to injury at that point. So yeah, I was just really pissed off and miserable that day. It was just the worst birthday ever. Even worse than the birthday where Porch Pigeon for Life split up. But I soon recovered. The other shitty thing about this year was beloved famous people dying, just to name off a few. Kazuki Takahashi, Bernard Cribbins, the Queen, Robbie Coltrane, Kevin Conroy, and more recently Jason David Frank. I know there's more, but I'm just struggling to think of the names right now. It's just awful. And it feels like 2016 all over again. Like the original title holder of the worst year ever. I mean, I don't know if this would be considered the worst year ever. I'm going to leave that up to you guys to decide. Otherwise, I feel like 2020 was still the worst. And then, of course, this country is going to shit because of the rise in energy bills and these stupid, never-ending train strikes that have been going on for about half a year now. Me and Emma are just getting fed up of it. There just seems to be no sign of them ending, and they just keep ruining and disrupting our plans, and it's also making my work life difficult as well. I have to find other ways to get into work, and I'm forced to spend less time with Emma than originally planned. Basically by having to go home a day early, just so I can still get into work. And it's also forcing me to ultimately make a decision about work that I'm just not ready to make yet. It's just too much pressure. And, the whole thing is regarding this work decision and the strikes is just making me stressed and miserable. These strikes are just making everyone's lives a misery and an inconvenience, and it just feels like no one cares. The companies and the government just don't seem to be doing anything about it. Anyone involved just doesn't seem to care. I'm so done with trains. I don't even want to use them anymore because of this. But rather annoyingly, I have to, because I need trains to be able to get to and from work, Emma's place, game night, and seeing friends. Even if I learnt to drive again and did pass my test, it doesn't completely solve the problem, because I still need the train to be able to get from where I live to where Emma lives. And it usually takes 3 hours to get there by train, and I'm pretty sure it would take longer by car. It's said that it doesn't take that long depending on the route, but I'm pretty sure it would take longer to get there in a road vehicle. And just the very thought of driving on a motorway is just daunting to me. Now, there is also the option of travelling by coach between London and Kent, but that doesn't completely solve the problem as well, because other lines that I use might not even be running. It's just a nightmare. I could just give up planning future holidays. To places like Snowdon, Margate, Cornwall, Southampton, things like that. Like, what's the point if these train strikes just keep happening and never end? It even makes it really difficult to plan ahead for our trip to Snowdon. Because these strikes could just happen at any time, or they might get cancelled at the last minute, which makes the public just as angry as they cancelled or changed their plans for nothing. Something needs to be done. Literally, all we want is for trains to run when they're fucking supposed to. You know? And yeah, that basically covers everything. Don't know if you guys have had a bad 2020 as well. I'm really sorry if you have. I can kind of relate, as you probably saw. Like I said, lots of good things did still happen, so it hasn't been all bad. And despite this happening, I'm still just generally happier. All thanks to Emma. She's just my rock, and I don't know what I'd do without her. I love her so much. Anyway, I will be doing a video talking about what was good about this year, and then of course there'll be the big end of year video at the end of the year, obviously. Oh, my foot's gone to sleep now, and I still haven't finished working on this deck. I guess it's hard to concentrate on two things. Now I know how Weber's 5 felt recently when he did his last 3 Q&A episodes. By the way, please go and check those out, by the way. Anyway, thanks for watching, stay safe you guys, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Magician YouTube channel.